Hi, I'm David Bradshaw. I read in the Oak Ridger a few weeks ago about a report that Deputy City Manager Steve Jenkins made to the Oak Ridge City Council. In this report, he stated that because our sales tax revenues have been stagnant again this year, the council will need to consider a 4.9% increase in property taxes to meet the increasing operating costs of the city. Believe me, that sure sounded familiar, and I know council's feeling frustrated with the few options they have. But there is a potential revenue stream for the city that we've known about for years but not taken full advantage of, and that is heritage tourism. Not that it could be a substitute for retail, industrial, and residential growth, but it sure could bring in welcome new revenue. Communities all around us are climbing on the bandwagon. Clinton, Lake City, even our friends in Blount County, just to name a few. Tourism is Tennessee's second largest industry, and heritage tourism is a fast-growing part of it. The Oak Ridge Convention and Visitors Bureau has been working hard for several years now to expand tourism and promote our heritage. They have sponsored the Randall Marketing Study that assured us we have what it takes, as well as the Heritage Tourism Implementation Plan that outlines the steps to make it happen. Oak Ridge has a heritage other cities would love to have. First is our Manhattan Project story. We played a major role in the story that journalists voted the #1 story of the 20th century. Oak Ridge was born and helped bring peace to a world torn by the most awful war in history. Oak Ridge doesn't have to just tell that story, we can show it. But I'll get to that in a minute. Our second unique story is what our scientists and engineers did in the years after World War II. They applied the nuclear science and technology learned during the war to the problems of mankind all over the world. Oak Ridge is the birthplace of nuclear medicine. We are the birthplace of civilian nuclear power. We pioneered research in genetics, biology, nuclear safety, environmental science, industrial measurement, manufacturing, and on and on. But to create revenue with heritage tourism, you must have historic preservation. Without historic preservation, you end up just saving memories, oral histories, photographs, and artifacts for display in museums. And believe me, there is a big difference between reading and hearing the story and actually experiencing it. People tell Sandy and me how much they enjoyed reading about our trip out west last year. I'm happy they enjoyed the articles, but if you have never been to the Grand Canyon, go. Experiencing it is something quite different than just reading about it. So that's why I think we in the community ought to get behind the effort to save some of our unique Manhattan Project heritage at K-25. It can be a place where future generations can go inside one of the actual World War II super secret buildings. They can experience the site of World War II equipment in its original setting, looking just like it did when General Leslie Groves walked through it. In addition to being the largest building under one roof in the world at the time, K-25 was a science and engineering marvel built by 25,000 patriots. A Blue Ribbon Committee of experts told DOE that K-25 is one of the 3 structures in Oak Ridge that must be saved to properly preserve Manhattan Project history. The other 2 are the Beta 3 Calutron track at Y12 and the graphite reactor at ORNL. But as you know, both of these are in the midst of 2 vital DOE facilities with ongoing missions, so it's likely that the public will only be able to visit these on a special event basis. But K-25 is in a site that DOE is anxious to clean up and hand over to the private sector. So out of all the remaining Manhattan Project sites in the nation, our K-25 is the only one left that the public could freely visit and get inside. So this is a huge opportunity for heritage tourism efforts in Oak Ridge and the nation. Preservationists have been working for years looking at various alternatives for preserving K-25's important history. Some of the things we feel visitors will want to experience are a short introduction to the K-25 story, what the plant did in World War II and in the years after. Then they will be wowed by being able to view an actual 300-foot-long diffusion equipment alley. We also want them to see where the people worked up on the top floor. Out of the windows, you'll be able to look out over the entire footprint of the colossal 44-acre site. Visitors will be able to also see a striking display of the much bigger and better equipment developed for the arms race, and later whose productivity helped win the Cold War and whose low cost helped make civilian nuclear power available to the whole world. After that North Tower show and tell, visitors can drive our Heritage Center History Trail surrounding the site, where historic markers will tell other stories like that of the wheat community that K-25 displaced. Oak Ridge's lost city of 12,000 that people sarcastically called Happy Valley, and they can visit one of the largest African burial grounds in the South. Another attraction will be the Southern Appalachian Railway Museum and its Secret City Scenic Train. Adding this historic K-25 attraction to everything else there is to see in Oak Ridge, K-25 visitors will tip the scales, making folks want to stay overnight in Oak Ridge. Historic K-25 is our second potential heritage tourism destination attraction. The first is the American Museum of Science and Energy, or AMSI. And we want to revitalize AMSI so that in addition to its science education mission, it tells the whole Manhattan Project story. So both of these attractions will draw a national audience, not just local and regional audiences. World War II history buffs, veterans and their families are crowding in to see the Enola Gay and the World War II Memorial in Washington. Those same families will also be intrigued by the chance to learn the overall story of Oak Ridge at AMSI and then actually get to see inside a top secret government facility that's been off limits to the public for more than 60 years. Sounds like it ought to be a slam dunk, so why isn't it? Well, cost for one. Taking down the K-25U is a complex job because the uranium enriching equipment is still inside and because the building has deteriorated due to limited maintenance for many years. It's going to cost Uncle Sam over $800 million to take it down over the next 4 to 5 years. DOE and Bechtel Jacobs have been studying how to do this safely. The National Historic Preservation Act mandates DOE to consider historic preservation issues when they tear down government buildings. So, for the last 4 years, DOE has been studying what parts of K-25 to save and is now using a group of consulting parties to help advise them. These parties include the Tennessee Historical Commission and the Advisory Council of Historic Preservation in Washington, as well as the City of Oak Ridge and the Oak Ridge Heritage and Preservation Association. All these parties signed a memorandum of agreement in 2005 agreeing to save the North End building, the building that connects the 2 half-mile-long wings of the U, re-roof it, and take a number of other appropriate actions. To fund that, DOE set aside $27 million. However, due to some safety issues and further deterioration of the K-25 building, DOE is taking another look at what to preserve. Last summer, DOE announced that it will now cost $47 million for implementing the Memorandum of Agreement instead of the original $27 million. So they wanted to consider alternatives.